welcome to my YouTube channel once again. And in this video, I'm going to discuss about how we can read properties in a Spring Boot application, because it's very important to externalize a lot of things into properties file and not hardcode them in the code. I think all of you understand that. Things like database user ID, password, and many other such passwords and many other such environment related details should ideally be placed in a properties file and not hardcoded into the code, so that we can change them without repackaging the server. So in this video, again, I'm going to discuss about how and what are the best ways that we can read properties file in Spring Boot. But before we go there, let me quickly tell you, if you are still using properties format, .properties file in Spring Boot, or for that matter in any application, then I would request you to switch over to YAML, because as you can see on the left hand side, here is the YAML, and on the right hand side, the same YAML's properties version. As you can see, the properties version is much more compact, but it also repeats a lot. And if there are nested properties like the way it's there in any practical, any real world application, then it looks very ugly in a properties file, but it looks really nice and much more readable in the YAML format. So my humble suggestion is, if you're still using properties, then please change over to the YAML format. And the good thing is, with the latest version of Spring Boot can read your YAML file just out of the box. You do not require any other configuration. With that said, let us see how we can read properties file. What are the syntax available in Spring Boot? What are the techniques available in Spring Boot so that we can read properties file? But before we go there, let me make another humble request to you. If you like my video, my description, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel and also share it with your friends. And I would say one reason for subscribing to my channel is I try to share the information which I found myself initially difficult and which I actually learned the hard way. So I try to share that information. And second is, for most, if not all, of my videos, I try to share a working code, because what I've also learned is coding and trying it out is the best way in which we can learn any software thing, any technical thing, rather than learning the theory. So these are the two reasons I would say that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that I also remain motivated and you also get to learn something. So let's see what are the different ways in which we can read properties in Spring Boot. Now, one way is using the @value annotation. And with the @value annotation, as you can see, that a property name can be read with dots, like a property name may be spring.application.name. Then with dot, I can read the properties name like you are seeing here. And also, if there are nested properties like here, like there is a user lists property, and under that there is a live users, and then there is a list of users, then you can actually read the property. You can read the entire list with a annotation @configuration properties with this prefix the same as this user lists. And then this live users, which is a list, or rather that would be a map of string to string. That live user should be named like this, and that should be a map of string to string, so that it can load all the user details. Do not worry if you do not understand that. I have again a working version of the code which I will also demo. So if you see that demo, then you should be able to completely understand. Okay, so these are the two main techniques in which we can read properties file in Spring Boot. A couple of other things before we go to the demo. One is, if you are not already aware of that, in Spring Boot, we can actually use multiple properties file for different kinds of properties. And I think that's actually a good idea. So with this annotation, with this property in application YAML, Spring config import, you can actually add multiple properties, or multiple YAML file rather. Like I can have a database specific YAML file, I can have a application shared YAML, and I can have a messaging YAML, so on and so forth. But the default is always application.properties file or the application.yaml file. Okay, so with that said, let us now go and see the demo. Let's start with the demo. In order to set this up in your laptop, please navigate to my GitHub repo, which is github.com/mshomik78, and then /higherlevelcode.java, and from there navigate to the specific branch Spring Boot read properties. And if you go there, then you will see that in the README there is very clear instruction how to clone the branch and how to compile, how to create the package, and then finally how to run Now in my local I have already cloned that branch and already created the package, so I am not run these two steps. But when you start with your laptop, then you need to run these two steps, because you need to clone the branch and then create the package. So I will first start with basically running the program using that java jar command. So I have copied that command and this has started the Spring Boot server, and I'm going to request this endpoint. See, it has returned the name of the Spring application name, because if you see here that API/1/config points to this method, and this method is returning this property, and this property is annotated with spring.application.name, which matches to spring.application.name. So that's why as we read properties, this value is returned. And also, if I go back to the controller, you will see that it has read that user list config and printed its size, as well as printed all the keys and the values, because all of them were part of this user list config. So just like it read one property using the add value annotation, it has also read this user list using the add configuration properties annotation and using this live users. Note how this live users is written corresponding to this live users, and if I go there, I will see that the size as well as the list of users have been logged. So here is the size, and then the list of users have been logged. So that's it. I hope you understood how we can read properties using both add value as well as add configuration properties. But please clone my repo and create the package and run my application to better convince yourself. Okay, for your patient listening. If you are still along with me, I hope you enjoyed my session, and I would again request you to go and clone my repo and to run the program, to basically create the package and run the program and see for yourself. And also another request which I would make to you is start using YAML version, because as you already saw that if the properties are very nested, and that's how the properties are in a real life application normally, then of course YAML is much more readable, and YAML also does not have any repetition unlike properties file. So please go ahead and start using YAML. Last but not the least, and again I'm going to make that humble request to you, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, also share it with others, and also take your time to view my other videos if you really like them. And please to remember that in most of my videos I'm sharing a working code, so please download that and see for yourself, because that's what I learned the hard way. Seeing the code running is believing.